You can only do things by yourself for so long before you hit a wall. Are you really living up to your standard you have for yourself?
You're in a great position right now. My question back is, compared to what? Are you meeting your long-term goal, or are you there? What agreement have you signed that could prevent you from getting there? What relationships do you have that could prevent you from getting there? That's one of the biggest issues, I think, with advisors is they think that they have to do it all themselves. The burden is, oh my God, how am I going to do it? I have to do it all on my own. And the answer is you should never have to. Right. You just need to find and align yourself with the right team that can come in and assess and take a look at it. If you're stuck in a bank or you're stuck in a captive firm that's just feeding you clients and you have quotas, things are different.
You have to feed the machine.
You feed the machine, you get what you get.
Right.
A couple of the guys that came over from a pretty well-known broker-dealer firm, they both felt the same way, that they were limited on what they could do, that they couldn't talk about things the way they wanted to talk about things. They had to follow a very specific script. They didn't get compensated for what they were going to do or what they were doing. They had production requirements that if they didn't meet their targets, then their compensation dropped in the future, which is while there's non-competes, non-solicits. So a couple of that came over from the larger firms, that's the feel that I got.
You can only do things by yourself for so long before you hit a wall. Are you really living up to your standard you have for yourself?
You're in a great position right now. My question back is, compared to what? Are you meeting your long-term goal, or are you there? What agreement have you signed that could prevent you from getting there? What relationships do you have that could prevent you from getting there? Back when we started Portfolio Medics in 2007, we were following a bit of a process. It wasn't throwing it against the wall and hoping it would stick. It was very intentional on how we were building the structure. We were starting with what our end goal was in mind at the time. And so by doing that, which everybody needs to do when they task, think of what the end goal is going to be and then start developing the structure. We paid a lot of attention to how we could help advisors scale, how we could help clients grow and navigate the markets. And for the future, it was really about how are we going to handle it when we got to $1 billion of assets under management, which is pretty close right now. So having that structure set up at the beginning was hopeful. We could handle the structure, not completely knowing what our roles are going to be, but we thought that as we started to do it and we went down the process of bringing on representatives and clients, that we would naturally fall into, which is really what happened. So we fell into our very specific roles. And I've always been the creative dreamer when it comes to music, and it comes to finance, and when it comes to nature and growing and building and conservation. I envisioned an investment philosophy that's much different than what I saw in the marketplace. I didn't come up with the idea originally. It found me in a really interesting way. But once I heard the story of being able to navigate through the markets in a way that was different than what everyone is used to, the light went on. So all I did is I took that idea and really just started to put it out there to everybody that I met. And in 2004, I ran into this guy named John Billy. And in 2007, John and I started Portfolio Medics. It was a good 3 years of vetting each other out and looking at each other's how we operate in systems and philosophies. He came from a very different world than I did in the investment and finance business. But what ended up happening was, with John's background as an infectious disease microbiologist who's extremely detail-oriented, I'm also very detail-oriented, but just in a different way, more with numbers. John is able to now run our entire back office firm very efficiently. And then I still spearhead the difficult client conversations, supporting the representatives of the firm when there are deeper client concerns about directions of the market, positioning of how we're actually investing in the market, what we're looking at, the indicators, and so on. So having John as a strong anchor, I'll call him an anchor as the back office. And then with me on the creative lead on the front end, we can take that same procedure and apply it to a new representative that's coming in and give them a jump start, a real head start on getting business with new prospects. I don't know if you ever experienced that with any of the reps that you're working with.
I am. So some of the reps, I'm in a mode where I'm working on how to be more fit, effective, and efficient coach for those that want it, and to understand the ones that don't, and then the ones that aren't having a successful experience, that it's not time, but this isn't the right place for you.
There's a part of that Colby assessment that we do does have the option to see what kind of team player someone is. A very non-invasive question to be able to figure that out. Very simple process. I find that is pretty accurate. When I see that someone scores very highly on the team side, I know that I have to put a different level of energy into that person as opposed to someone who doesn't, who a little bit more of a lone wolf. I find that everyone still needs some support at some time. Being a little more flexible as an investment advisory firm with the representatives that comes on has served us really well. There's some people that we just can't help. It's almost like the light goes on at one point and then everything just explodes. And it's like, oh my God, I get it all of a sudden. So I think one of the keys to nurturing is having patience. I've never been a father and never had kids, but I've heard that patience is key to a lot. Is that right?
Yes.
But I don't mind taking that time and just nurturing as much as possible, because I know the long-term reward is going to be amazing for them and for their clients and for us too. Yeah. So it's certainly worth it. It's very similar to a couple of the guys that came over from a pretty well-known broker-dealer firm. There's one in particular that came over, never been in the business before, but his family history was dealing with larger, very well-known firms who were trying to recruit him because he was part of the family and, young kid. And well, when I explained to him over lunch the differences in the industry, he was very quick to say, I want a system to where I can work from wherever. I don't have to go to an office. I don't have to wear a suit and tie if I don't want to. And that I can talk about things that are different than what the rest of the industry typically talks about. This is someone who has a lot of experience with the hedge fund world and alternatives. And so he appreciated that approach that we can bring to the table as an option for clients. Another rep joined us back in 2014. That was more about a long-term stability of income play. It was about the numbers, it was about the data, but it was really more about, if I die, what's going to happen to my clients and how is my wife going to get taken care of? So we were able to figure out a way to solve that for him. We had another representative that came over that was really just 100% focused on that out of New York. And it was easy conversation because in the structure that we're going to, he's still living, but when he passes away, we have a plan in place to where his family won't go hungry for the rest of their lives. So partnership is the key. Structuring the business in a way to where it's sustainable, not just for the life of the representative, but for the life of their beneficiary. So you don't really hear that a whole lot where there's what am I going to do? I'm going to sell my block of business once I get to a certain point. I got a problem with that. So you care about your clients, but then all of a sudden you're talking about selling your block of business. So do you have kids? Do you feel the same way about them? I'm like, I don't. How about your wife? Is there like an exit strategy with that? That's one of the things that's always bothered me with these conversations is, why sell your block of business when you can continue maintaining these relationships with clients? for the rest of your life. For me, it doesn't make any sense to have an exit strategy like that. I care deeply about the reps at the firm. I care deeply about all the clients that we service of theirs. I love it when I can talk to a rep about it. Usually when I hear from them that, look, I have no intention of selling and I'm going to die with this because I want to service my clients, I'm like, service first. That's awesome. We're right in alignment with that. You really need to pick your clients. You have to pick your relationships. And otherwise, you're going to make a mistake if you don't have a system in place to be able to do that. Think about the people in your life that you've run across that are so genuinely excited about something that they can't sleep. They get up early to go do it and they do it all day long. And then everyone always questions, how in the hell do you keep doing that for so long and not wearing yourself out? And it's because their eyes are so wide open. It's like a kid every single day. That's what I love to see with everybody at the firm.
Yeah.
It makes me want to get up every single morning because of that.
And that is the reason, folks, why you want to call ahead and get your slot on John's calendar